again.
No time to lose. No time to lose. No time to lose.
Ashwin Iyer was still finding his feet in India's capital city. The last few years had passed by in a blur. From being a geeky 16-year-old growing up with his grandparents in 𝙒𝙖𝙗𝙗 to being in the midst of the corridors of power, it had been a monumental journey for the young man. 𝙒𝙖𝙗𝙗 is a city synonymous with the Kaveri river, also called the 𝙥𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤, the Ganga of the south by devout Hindus. The Kaveri finds copious mention in Tamil literature, and the river's entire course is considered holy ground for the faithful. It rises from the Western Ghats in the state of Karnataka, runs for roughly 475 miles through the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and comes down in the Eastern Ghats through a series of many breathtaking falls. These falls have been tapped for hydroelectric power that is distributed in many parts of Karnataka. Before emptying itself in the Bay of Bengal, the river gives rise to numerous tributaries that make the land fertile, giving it the name Garden of Southern India. 𝙒𝙗𝙗𝙗 is also the cradle of Carnatic music, owing to the fact that poet-composer saint Tyagaraja lived there in the 18th century along with Muthuswami Dikshidhar and Shyama Shastri, termed the original trinity of Carnatic music. He sang and composed primarily in Telugu and Sanskrit and is considered one of the 5 gems, Pancharatna, of the genre. Ashwin Iyer was understandably proud of his native town's cultural heritage and had initially felt out of place in Delhi, which boasted of monuments and remembrances of foreign rulers who had by and large shown scant respect for Indic traditions and faiths. He combed his hair carefully, giving it just the right casual touch, and perched his cap carefully so as to ensure that every strand stayed in its place. He examined himself critically in the mirror, flexing his well-developed biceps and watching the tight uniform respond, and smiled. He then briskly left his quarters for the Delhi Police Club. He would be meeting many bigwigs there and wanted to create a good impression. Having grown up in interior Tamil Nadu and studied in government schools, he spoke fluent Tamil and adequate English, but he had no clue of Hindi. But as luck would have it, he could only get into the famed Indian Police Service, that too as part of the so-called AGMU, Arunachal Pradesh, Goa, Mizoram and Union Territory cadre, which included Delhi. The officers gathered at the club welcomed him warmly in English and instantly made him feel at home. As more and more babus, the common term for bureaucrats in India, filed in, some with their families, the conversations switched to Hinglish, a combination of Hindi and English. Ashwin felt like he was only getting half of the story. He laughed with the rest but was frequently missing the punchlines. There was some gossip of Delhi socialites, and from the mischievous grins, he could gather that some of the officers had the cake and ate it too. He told himself in Tamil, I better learn Hindi quickly or I'll be lost and miss out on the fun. He must have said the last line aloud as he saw someone chuckle and reply in Tamil, yes, in Delhi be a Delhiite, and you need to pick up Punjabi and Haryanvi too. Ashwin turned around to see a beautiful girl with expressive eyes. She was smiling with her eyes and lips. He had not seen anyone so beautiful in his life before. For a moment, his heart was in his mouth and he was at a loss for words. Divya Sharma, she smiled and extended her hand. Ashwin Iyer, he said, somewhat embarrassed. Even as he was figuring out what to say next, he felt a strong hand pat him on his shoulder. Ashwin, someone said loudly, as if he knew him all along. What a score you got! If you are even half as good as your rank, you will go far. Divya stepped in smoothly and introduced. Meet my dad, Srikanth Sharma, IAS. He is currently the Commerce Secretary. Pleased to have made your acquaintance, sir. Ashwin saluted smartly, forgetting that the person in front of him was an IAS, not an IPS officer of a higher rank. Srikanth laughed and said, "Relax, young man." The whole idea of the get-together was to make the newcomer Ashwin acquainted with the elite movers and shakers who frequented the Delhi Police Club. Everyone was trying to be friendly with him and he was glad for that. And yet, he was finding it difficult to get that level of comfort. Just then, there was some noise and all heads turned in the direction of the distraction. The Union Home Minister, Kapil Pandya, had just walked in. A powerful man in the central government who had the Prime Minister's ears and eyes, Kapil Pandya was somewhat rotund and had sharp eyes that seemed to bore into the person he fixed his gaze on. He had a reputation for being a sharp administrator and a no-nonsense leader, and a man with consummate organization skills who plotted and guided the party's electoral battles with a good amount of success. Kapil Pandya moved with the confidence of a man who had power and knew that others realized it. His arrival was unexpected and he reveled in the surprise that he had created. He came to the table where Ashwin and others were seated. Chairs were hastily rearranged and space was made for him. Ashwin rose and saluted him. The Commerce Secretary introduced him to the Home Minister. Kapil Pandya looked at the young IPS officer and smiled. It was supposed to put Ashwin at ease, but that chance dissipated when Pandya asked him in Hindi, "How do you find Delhi?" Ashwin Iyer had no idea what he had been asked. Divya Sharma came to his rescue, turning into an interpreter. To Iyer's surprise, she translated the minister's question into Tamil. The young IPS officer gratefully responded in Tamil, which she promptly conveyed in chaste Hindi to the Home Minister. Pandya nodded. The minister continued to question him on various issues. 15 minutes later, during which he sipped a lukewarm lemon drink, he rose, took leave of the gathering, patted Iyer on the back, and left. In his car, Pandya filed the incident in his mind. He was impressed by Ashwin Iyer and resolved to make use of his services at an appropriate time at an appropriate position. End chapter 4.